I hope you're having an amazing day. I'm ready to present this session that I call Stop, Keep, and Start. And it's designed to help you create the three must have lists that you need to be successful in 2022. So I hope that sounds helpful to you. We're going to dive right in and do this. All right. We're talking about stop, keep, and start. The three must-have lists that you want to have in your hip pocket to be successful in 2022. We've seen where 2020, 2020, and 2021 have gone, and we're starting to get an idea of how 2022 is going to play out. So that's kind of the backdrop. And again, what things, spoiler alert, what things do you need to stop, keep, and start to be successful in 2022? Now, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that my goal or my mantra really is to get you more time, money, and freedom out of your practice. How do you do that? Well, let's look at and combine time and freedom, and we're going to call that leverage. So instead of time, money, and freedom, we're basically left with money and leverage. And so, how do you get more money and more leverage from your practice in 2022? So, you can see I started a graph here, a little four quadrant graph, and we're going to move money and leverage over to the axes of this graph. So on the horizontal axis, we have less leverage on the left and more leverage on the right. And on the vertical axis, we have more money at the top and less money at the bottom. So given that we saw how 2020 and 2021 went, and getting an idea of how 2022 is going to go, we need to analyze the things that we're doing. We need to look at our basic activities and see what things that we're doing now that we need to stop doing, what things that we're doing now that we need to keep doing, and what aren't the things that we're doing now that we need to start doing. So that's the premise for this chart that I'm drawing here. Maybe last year, in the last 2 years, we found ourselves operating here somewhere in the red circle. Red connoting danger, just not as good as it otherwise could be. So we may have been operating with less leverage, less time and freedom, and getting less money than we would like to have, all other things being equal. The goal would be, how do we get up to this green circle? How do we move our lives and our practices so that, again, relatively speaking, we're getting more money and more leverage? Red, relatively speaking, not as good. Green, relatively speaking, better, where we want to move into. So how do we move from the red circle to the green circle? Well, you have to analyze the things that you're doing. And those things are our activities, our behaviors, and our habits. Any combination of those things that we find ourselves doing, the activities that we're doing, the behaviors that we exhibit, the habits, good and bad, that we currently have. How do we change those? Well, we change those by analyzing what our activities, behaviors, and habits are. And you may realize that there are some activities, behaviors, and habits that you need to stop doing. They may have served you in the past. They may not ever have served you, but they are just things that you thought you should be doing, or habits that are ingrained and keep you from doing better things. So we need to look at the things that we need to stop doing. But there's also going to be activities and behaviors and habits that when we analyze them, we realize they are working for us. And so we need to keep doing those. And then last, we may look around and see other successful colleagues in and out of our profession, and we may see them doing things that are working for them. And we may figure out that if we could translate or adapt or adopt some of those practices, some of those activities, behaviors, and habits personally, that we need to start doing those things. And so if we want to move from that red circle to the green circle, we need to start doing those activities, behaviors, and habits. We need to keep delete the ones that aren't working for us, stop those, keep the ones that already are, and start new ones that will serve us better in 2022. That will create the momentum that we need to move up and to the right, up from less leverage and less money, up and to the right to more money and more leverage. I'm going to grant you that it might be difficult to stop the things that aren't working for you, especially if they might be associated with a significant amount of sunk costs, either time, money, and effort that you've already invested in doing certain things. But we all know as accountants, sunk costs are in the past, and we have to look going forward what our investment is going to be. The insight, if you will, for today is to create three lists of 3 to 5 things of activities, behaviors, and habits that you want to stop, that you want to keep, and of course, again, the ones that you want to start. So let's look at your list. Some of you asked for a PDF of this framework, and I sent that out yesterday. If you want this PDF today, comment lists in the Facebook group, and I will see that you get it. But the idea here, and if you look at the fine print at the bottom under stop, list 3 to 5 activities, behaviors, habits that you have or do now and are no longer serving you and maybe never did. Under the keep, list 3 to 5 activities, behaviors, and habits that you have now and that are working for you and will continue to work for you in 2022. And last, what are the 3 to 5 activities, behaviors, or habits that you don't have or aren't doing now that you need to have or start doing in the current year? We've got some people in the group, and I'm wondering, what activities do you want to stop this year? You can put them on a sheet of paper for right now. Again, if you want a copy of this framework, please message me with the word lists and I'll see that you get it. But what are the activities that you would like to stop right now? Let me give you an example of one of mine. You may have known, because I kind of made a big deal out of it, but in 2021, actually starting in on Christmas Day of 2020, I made an effort to walk at least 10,000 steps, which translates into about 5 miles every single day. It was a great activity, but it did create a sore knee and a sore hamstring for me towards the end. And it was really an interesting activity or behavior or habit that I developed just to improve my mental toughness and show myself that I had the grit to do this, that I could actually walk 10,000 steps every day for 365 days. It was a great thing to do in 2021, but it's really not serving me anymore. And I'm going to, I've kind of switched out to a more rounded and varied exercise program. So I'm still walking. When I do walk, a lot of times I will hit 10,000 steps in a day. But if I don't do it, I don't feel like it's the end of the world. It's not some huge streak coming to an end. It's something that, just as an example, that I've stopped. What are the things that you want to stop doing Looking over here in the comments, nobody's typing anything. So maybe are you reluctant to share? Is it hard to think about things that aren't serving you anymore? And again, I realize if you've been really invested in them, maybe you think it's something that's going to be difficult to stop, but what's not working for you? So I'm going to move over to the keep list. One of the things that is working for me or was working for me is LinkedIn. You all know that I post pretty often in LinkedIn. And at one point, I was posting every single day. I mean, Monday through Friday, I was posting at least once a day. I do a ton of research for my coaching clients about what works and what doesn't work on LinkedIn. And it turns out, because of the vagaries of the LinkedIn algorithm, it's a death knell to your posts if you post more than once a day, as an example. And in fact, the research showed that the best times to post on LinkedIn is Tuesdays, Thursdays, and believe it or not, Saturdays. And that's because everybody on a Saturday seems to take the time to look at their account, but relatively few people post on a Saturday. So it's much easier for your content to be seen and read on a Saturday than it is the Monday through Friday. So an activity that I've kept is posting on LinkedIn, but I have modified it to post only on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. One of the things that is in my list to start doing in 2022 is, in fact, these lives. This is something that this is the third one I've done, but these lives started in December of 2021. So I did one in December, I did one in January, I did one in February. My goal is to do one a month for all of 2021, 2022, give it an entire year and see what the reception of these lives are like. I think they're fun to do. They're pretty short, and it conveys some interesting help for the people. The other thing that I've started doing is, on one hand, while I stopped my 10,000 steps a day, the one thing that I started doing was meditation. So on December 1st of 2021, I started meditating every night before I go to bed. And I've got that streak going right now. I haven't missed a night since December 1st, 31 days in December, 31 days in January. So that's 62 days plus 15 days so far in February that I've done this. So, I'm in the 70s of consecutive days. I've done some research and read some books that says it takes about 66 days to install a new habit, to do something every single day to what is called the point of automaticity, where it is easier to do the habit than it is to not do the habit. So I've passed those 66 days. And to me, meditating at night, you wash your face, you put on your pajamas, you brush your teeth, and you meditate. It's become just like one more step in the going to bed process. And that's how I make time for it. And that's how I think about it. So that is some examples of things that I've stopped doing, kept doing, and started doing. Now, if you want help, if you want some ideas, I can't think of a better source of information than Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book is a New York Times bestseller. I have not read one negative review of the book. I recommend the book to my coaching clients. I've never heard anyone say, gee, that book really wasn't worth the read. So if you are looking at how to uninstall old activities and behaviors and habits and want to install new ones, I highly recommend this book. And if you're wondering, do the changes that I make, do they need to be, really big, drastic changes? And the answer is no. James Clear has this graph that shows the power of tiny gains. If you are incrementally 1% incrementally better at doing a habit every single day, it's like compound interest. And so 1%, doing 1% of something better every day leads to almost a 38% improvement by the end of the year. But likewise, performing or doing 1% worse every day is also a compounding effect. And so the green here shows, what is working for you, the things that you want to start, for example, or even keep, but the things that you're doing that no longer serve you, that you should be stopping doing but aren't, that's going to lead to an overall decline in your performance. And that's what we're trying to get at. I hope this has been really useful for you today. It's a beautiful day here in Bisbee, Arizona. When we hang up, I'm going to take Miles for a walk, get on with my day. But in the meantime, do you have any questions or comments? So maybe on a delayed basis, some comments were coming in and they're from one person, and this person says, hey, stop going to generic networking events, start raising fees and focusing projects that I really want to do, keep non-BB side gig alive, too much time on admin tasks. Yeah, these are all great things. And like everything else, I think the problem is that, again, the cobbler's children have no shoes. We have no reluctance to recommend to our business owner clients that they need to do better. They need to do better in their planning, but really we don't as well. And the goal for today was to really try and give you a tool, try and give you a framework for you to sit down and say, do an activities, behaviors, and habits inventory. And again, what's working for you, what's not, how do you make some mid-course corrections? I hope this has been interesting and useful or valuable for you today. I'm going to get on with my day. I recommend that you guys get on with yours. Thanks for tuning into this live. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.